Now it's time to set up your foot care business, not just buying stuff, but making sure that you set a really good foundation for your foot care business going forward. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you what I would do differently if I was starting again today with the knowledge that I have now. But firstly, I want to say congratulations. If you're watching this and you just qualified as a foot health practitioner, welcome to the community. Right, so I'm going to break it down into 3 sections, and that's getting clients and earning, a system so that business runs smoothly, and ongoing learning. So hi, my name is Jess. I'm a self-employed foot health practitioner in the UK, and this video is part of my mini series where I have taken you from thinking about becoming a foot health practitioner all the way through to qualifying and setting up your own foot care business. So let's be real. The first thing that I'm going to be doing is setting up myself a Facebook page. I'll be trying to think of a business name, all the lovely, exciting bits that I really want to do. I'm going to be doing that now. Now, it's great to have all of that in the back of your mind, and you want to really get it all looking pretty and stuff, which is fine. But we need to be thinking about how much are we going to be charging our clients. So if I was to do things today, that would probably be the first thing that I would do. Now, I do have another video dedicated to pricing your services, and I do have a free download over on my website. I'll put a link down here. But definitely it is the question that comes up near enough every single time with anybody that inquires about your services. It's, do you have a price list and how much do you charge? Now, it's pretty normal to have a little look and see what other foot health practitioners are charging, not just in your area, but kind of everywhere, have a little bit of a nose. There's nothing wrong with that, honestly, because I think it's good to sort of see, how much are people willing to pay for a service. It doesn't necessarily mean that what they are charging is the right price for you, because they may be, undercharging themselves. You don't know. The main thing is obviously that you work out your own pricing, but by you looking at other people's, it is just part of your own research as well. So I'd kind of justify it in that way. So now that I've got my price set, I'm now going to introduce myself to the community, right? So yeah, I want to do all that nice fancy stuff that I did earlier, set up my Facebook group, make it now live because it was private, and let them know who I am and that I'm here, and start posting nice little pretty pictures of myself in my little uniform saying that I'm a qualified foot health practitioner. But one of the things that really worked for me was the Nextdoor app. I went onto the Nextdoor app and I introduced myself in a very casual sort of, I'm part of your community type of way. So I went on there, introduced myself. Hi, I'm Jess. I've just moved to the area because I've just moved to the area. And I kind of just writ this. It wasn't massively long, I don't think, but it was a very good introduction to who I was. And I put in there near the end, hi, I'm also a foot health practitioner. So if you need any foot care done, then please do let me know. And that kind of blew up. I literally had like over 100 or so people message me back saying, hi, welcome to the area, and, booking in to see me for foot care treatments. That was amazing. Honestly, it really, really was. And I kind of feel that when you have a business, you really have to put yourself out there. And I know that it could be quite nerve-wracking at some points, but in order for you to get people to know that you exist, you need to put yourself out there. But I did find that what got the most traction for me was me just showing up as me, as Jess, somebody who has a business in the community offering their services. And then what I would do then was I would have a professional business page, which I could then link to my personal account, which then takes me to, yes, I would definitely have a Facebook business page. I've also got a Nextdoor app business page. So yes, that is very, very important because I want people to be able to, I guess, investigate who I am as well. Now, bear in mind, this is all free. So setting up a Facebook page is free. Setting up a Nextdoor app business page is free. It's free advertising. Now, one thing that I learned early on as well was about the power of word of mouth and reviews. So if I was to start again today, I would 100% be focusing on every single new person that I met, get as many reviews as possible. And one way that I did that was through my Google My Business. So yes, I've got it on the Nextdoor app as well, which is wonderful. But what I found was when you have a free listing, because it's free as well, a free listing on Google, people are going onto Google to search for something specific. They're going onto Google to search for you. Now, I kind of have a love-hate relationship with social media, because with social media, like Facebook and your Instagrams and wherever it is, you can get like unwanted attention, which personally, I guess my type of, even though I am out there, like I am on YouTube right now, my type of personality is that I would struggle with that when it came to my business. So I would go with the Google My Business. It's less busy. People go onto Google knowing what they want, and then they find you. Now, I think the key to people booking you from seeing your Google My Business profile is those reviews, or are those reviews. Whenever people come and see me now, I always ask them, so how did you find me? Because I don't really advertise. And I can say probably about 70 to 80% of the time it is from my Google My Business profile, which essentially is word of mouth, because people that I have treated have put all their lovely reviews about me on my Google, my profile, my listing, and people have read those word of mouth reviews and they have booked me from that. So as time goes on, I will continue to build that. I'm not looking for loads of reviews on it from day one, but it is there that I'm wanting to build up over time, rather than doing it like 2 or 3 years later and having hardly no reviews on it. Now, I still would have social media profiles. Of course I will, because you want your name to pop up everywhere, especially when it comes to Google. So you've got your Google My Business. You'll also have on Google your Instagram and your Facebook and your Nextdoor. That will all show up on Google as well, and it will really help bump you up on the algorithm. But the other thing I will have is putting my advert in the parish news. Now, when I started out, like I mentioned in the beginning, I wanted to get all creative. I designed my lovely little pretty cards and my leaflets, and I went out and I door dropped and I posted them through people's letterbox. It was tiring and time consuming. It really is. And that is something that I would probably never do again. So what I would do now is put it in the parish news, an advert introducing my services, straight to the point. I don't need a picture of myself. All I need is the words foot care, my details, basically how people can get in touch with me, and all the different things that I offer in my service. So definitely do the parish news, because they are doing the job for me. They're delivering my advert to multiple houses, probably more than what I could do. And also they're saving me time. So in my area, you have to pay to put an advert in the parish news. But the way that I see it, it's an investment into my business. So let's say that I charge £50 for a foot care treatment, and the cost for me to put an advert in the parish news is £50 as well. So I pay £50 for an advert in the parish news. I gain from that 5 or 6 new people. Have I lost out? Me putting money into that parish news has actually yielded me more in return. So for me, that's a really good investment. Next, I'll be thinking about having my own website. Yes, after qualifying, of course. I don't want to be fighting against thousands or millions of people on social media. I want to be able to take people from social media that find me, I guess, and take them to a quiet place where everything is clear about who I am and my services on my website. So yes, 100% I can use social media, but what my goal is to take them away from that and bring them to my digital real estate. Now, it sounds all fancy, doesn't it? Having your own website and even calling it digital real estate. But what I have found is that with social media, it is so unpredictable. You're relying on these platforms not deleting your account or your accounts being hacked. Now, having a website doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be expensive. And nowadays, things have changed, technology has changed, and it can be very, very easy to make a website yourself. So if you have Canva, if you have the paid version of Canva, you can create as many websites on Canva now for free, or should I say at no additional cost to what you're already paying on a monthly basis with Canva, which is at the time of this video, what, £12.99 a month? So you can have as many websites on there as possible at no extra cost. And it is a simple, clean website. When you go onto Canva, as you know, it's full of templates. So you've got website templates and you literally just swap it for your details, make it live, and there you have it. You have yourself a website. It's honestly that easy. If you want to have your own particular domain name, so the name of your website, then you could buy yourself a domain name for as cheap as 99 pence a pound, and you're done. So earlier I mentioned about setting a foundation for my business. So having a website is one of them. Having Google My Business is another. And also making sure that I set my prices at a good price going forward. Something that I can build up and expand over time with, different services. So now that I have spoken about the pricing and getting my first clients, what I would do, now I want to talk about systems, because without systems, I feel like my business would not run as simply and smoothly as what it does today. So what can happen very quickly, say you go on social media and you post on Facebook about your services and you get like an influx, like I did with the Nextdoor app. You get an influx of people coming to you saying, oh, can I have your price list? Can I have an appointment, etc., etc. It can get very, very overwhelming. So having a system in place can really help to take that burden off you. So things like automation, which is for me a godsend. I would not be able to run my business without automation, which I'm going to go into now. So systems. You can have systems with social media as well. You don't particularly need a clinical system, by the way. And I'll give you an example. When somebody goes onto your Facebook page, they send you an instant message. An automation would be a message that is automatically sent back to them with whatever you decide to put on there. So things such as your opening hours, your prices, or a link to your website, or whatever you want to put in that automated message. That's a system, and it really does work, because what it does, it saves you from going into your messages. Let's say you have multiple, it just saves you time because it's done it for you. Unless it's specific questions asking for specific things, but you can also set automation for that as well. So with myself, I love a good clinical system because it does literally everything for you. When I qualified learning how to write in paper notes, like some of my soap notes, and it was a lot of paper. I remember going to my first appointments and I had my little bag and I had my little cards, although I was actually photocopying it as well. So instead of having like the really small cards, I'd photocopy them into like A4 paper. But what I found was they would get dirty and I would scribble all over them because my handwriting was awful. Or I'll do a lot of scribbling out as well because I was still learning the abbreviations. The abbreviations were a pain in the backside, honestly. But what I found very early on is that the paperwork, it was just getting on top of me. It was just way too much. I sought out a clinical system and I trialed quite a few of them. I have done a video on that on this channel, I think about 3 years ago or something. So it's still the same. Nothing's really changed much. So you can have a little look at those if you want to. But what I found with the clinical system was the automation, was the bookings system that it had. And it was all in one place. It also had like the finance section as well. So everything was housed in one place rather than me having paper notes, which I had to store somewhere securely with the key and lock. receipts. So when I saw somebody, I'd write down, who I'd seen with the price, and then I'd put it somewhere, store that somewhere else. I also needed a calendar, so like my booking calendar, so I could see where to book people in, or, what I was doing for the day. And it was just messy. It was chaotic. So I needed that clinical system because it was housed in one place. I didn't have to worry about the paperwork just getting so big, I didn't know where to house it anymore. So I realized from the beginning that I couldn't be dealing with paper. Now, I am not saying that paper doesn't have its place, because it really does. And I do have paper templates that I have as a contingency plan on my computer that I can just print off. But for me, when it comes to a clinical system, it really does help me to kind of relax a little bit, and it just makes life so much easier. Now, I'm just going to quickly go through why and how. So when you go to a doctor's surgery, right, as a patient, you've got your own record. It's got all your information in there. So your personal information, your name, your address, your email address, your medical history, any allergies of the sort. So it's got everything in there about you. It's got all your previous appointments, any of your upcoming appointments, your medication list. So the clinical system that I have is near enough the same as a clinical system that you would get when you go to a doctor's surgery. So when I see a client, I go to their house. All I need to do is go into their clinical record, and it has everything I need. So past consultations, so I can go back and sort of see what we dealt with, see previous soap notes. I can see photos that I've uploaded of, let's say they've had an ulcer on their foot or whatever, and I can monitor to see whether it's deteriorated or whether I can see progression, in terms of healing. So it has a very, very special place in my heart, a clinical system. So the clinical system is also a booking system. When I open it up, I have a calendar of my week or my day, however I decide to set it up, because you can personalize it to suit you. So I have a week's view, and I've decided to put slots. So I have appointment slots. So when somebody rings up for an appointment, or if I'm booking a follow-up appointment, I can literally just search their name. The name pops up. Literally just type up Mr. Joe Blogs, comes up, and I can then book them into an available slot. It's as simple as that. No flicking through the pages and scribbling things out and trying to work out what times people are booked in. It was awful when I had the calendar, honestly. Whereas now I have this clinical system. So when I see somebody new and I create a new record for them, I'm able to send them a form across to fill out before their appointment electronically. So it's a smart form. And what that does, it saves me time in an appointment. So before I had that, I'd go to the appointment, I'd get all my paperwork out of the bag, try and find a pen, because for whatever reason, I've lost the pen again. My client is trying to find a pen, and then they're having to fill it all out. If they're, a little bit more frailer, they may be shaking, it takes them ages to fill out the form. And by the time you know it, half an hour's gone, So having a clinical system, being able to send them across a smart form, and for them to fill that in before I even arrive. So before I arrive, I'm able to have a little look at what they've written. So their medical history, any medications, any contraindications that I may see to particular treatments. They're also able to sign it, my consent form, to say that they're happy for me to do a foot care treatment. And this saves me time, a lot of time, and it saves me money. So I would start again with a clinical system, no doubt. Another perk to a clinical system is the automation, like I mentioned earlier. Yes, you can have automation on Facebook and so forth, and Instagram. But with a clinical system, when I book somebody an appointment, it automatically sends them a text message as a confirmation, and you can set it up so that they send them an email as well. I've also set up an automated reminder text. So 2 or 3 days before their appointment, they automatically get a text message and an email reminding them of their appointment. And no word of a lie, I very, very rarely have had somebody who has missed an appointment. A lot of my clients say, Jess, yeah, I received your multiple messages of reminders of your appointment. I said, well, I have to, because what I used to do in the early days when I started up, I literally did everything manual. I would remind myself 2 days before to send them a text, and I'd be texting saying, just a reminder, hi Lucy or whatever, just a reminder that your appointment is on this day, blah, 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 blah. And I'd send it out. And you know what? There were some days where I'd forget to send reminders, and I had to remember to do that. Whereas with an automated system, I can just sit back and let it do the work. It's part of my team. My system is part of my team. So looking back, I would have this. Another perk for me is when I'm seeing a client and, I've done the treatment and I want to send them some aftercare information, I, go into their clinical record and send them an email. I'll either type it all out or I get a drop-down template, and I send that out. The good thing is that it's in their clinical record. It's in their record. So if anything was to happen, my insurers, they contact my insurers, say that I've done something or I didn't give them advice or whatever, I have that proof because everything that I've done is within their record. It shows when they came to see me. It shows all the emails and texts I've sent to them, all in one place. It shows obviously the soap notes, so everything that I've done in the appointment, it shows everything. So a clinical system, it also protects me as a practitioner. Obviously, if I make sure that I input everything into their records. Now, I can go on about this clinical system forever. Honestly, I've not even mentioned about the finance section yet either, where, you could do invoices and it sort of summarizes how much you've earned, or, you can work out your goals, your income goals. So if I was starting again, this would be the first thing that I would have, definitely, to make my business run smoothly, all in one place. So after seeing a few people and doing the foot care treatment in their homes, I soon realized that there were areas which needed to improve for myself, that is. So certain foot care treatments which I wasn't very confident in, and certain bits of knowledge that I felt I needed to gain more insight into. And this is where continued professional development is really helpful, well, essential actually, and attending as many CPD events as possible, especially if you know what it is that you feel there's a gap in, so that you could improve and get better and become even more confident in the treatments that you're doing. So a few years ago, I was talking with another foot health practitioner, and we were talking about, why is it so hard to find different training for, particular things out there? I mean, obviously times have changed a little bit now that with Facebook, more people, more providers are sort of, putting themselves out there. However, it's still sporadic. It's still all over the place, isn't it? So at the time, there wasn't really like a list or anything. So I thought, let me put together a list of, different conferences, which I did. I've obviously had my Not a Pod at the time, because I remember putting it on my website and letting people know. It's still there, by the way, so do check that out if you want to. But it was really hard finding places to do certain training, and you'd find people in forums saying, where can I train to do this and where can I train to do that? But if I was starting again today, if you was a member of, a group, I would definitely do that from the get-go, because when you qualify, you probably don't have a lot of money left anyway to attend all these conferences and all these workshops. Then you're saving money, but yet you're still getting value and you're still learning, and you're also being amongst other foot health practitioners as well. I know that the one that I'm with, you pay a small fee annually, probably about, I don't know, maybe less than 50 quid for a year, and you can attend all of their workshops or, their gatherings. I've only just started doing that probably in the last year, where I signed up to become a member of the branch where I am. But it's very, very good because, like I mentioned, you're saving money and also you're really getting good CPD from those who either have trained you or are trainers, qualified CPD trainers in certain topics. So I would definitely do that going forward, because you will realize that there are certain things you don't know or that you don't feel confident in. So being able to continue your professional development and know where to go, I think that is something that's really important. So now that you know about all the necessary steps that I would definitely take, you don't have to do what I do, but I put it out there to sort of support and encourage you. But the next step is now obviously setting up, all the lovely nice bits where you start buying equipment and products and stuff like that. But I do have a video on setting up the essentials, so do make sure to watch that video next. I also have my FHP business guide, so if you want to delve in a little bit further, then I'll leave that link in the comments down below. And yeah, congratulations once again, lots of love, and welcome to the Foot Health community.